All right. Looks like we're live.
Oh,
Hello,
feels so good.
hello, everyone, and welcome to the first episode of the Mana Dorks Podcast. Well, technically, episode 0, the Magic the Gathering podcast, where we talk about whatever the hell we want to talk about. And we also have
cats.
and we got a cat with us. I'm your host, Tasty Snackies, brought to you with my co-host, Mr. McBee. How's it going?
Hey, what's good, man?
That's good. I forget. Do you want to be addressed as McBee, Beefcake? How is it?
Just McBee's fine.
All right, cool. We'll stick with McBee then. I'm gonna double check just to make sure that the stream is live. Yes, it is. Okay, cool. So this is episode 0. So I figured we're gonna use this opportunity to introduce ourselves and talk about our histories with Magic the Gathering. And we'll start with you, Sean, because I know you have a much more storied history than I do.
This is just a longer history, I think. Been playing since, God, I could give you a day. I could say like 1995 or 1996, but realistically, like when I first started buying Magic cards, Ice Age had just come out, and when I first saw Magic, when I first got to play it, it was right when 4th edition was out. There was a lot of revised running around, so we're talking 95, 96, and I didn't start playing like really competitively probably till 98, and from there on, it was like I went to the JSS qualifiers. I was doing that back in the day. I was doing Pro Tour qualifiers by the time like Mirrodin and stuff was around.
Did you have any success at them?
I got to the finals of a Pro Tour qualifier one time, and then I realized that I wasn't going to go to the city that it was the kid was qualifying for, so I was just like, all right, whatever, I'll just like take some more prize and give the other guy the invite. But I would have smashed him.
Oh man, just like pull the total douche move and just steal the win from him, and then just be like, yeah, sorry, I can't go. Oh well.
I mean, it was Mirrodin, and I mean, he was playing an artifact deck, and I was playing the like 12 disenchant green blue crystal witness deck. So like I liked my odds. I played a lot of the affinity matchup, and I was feeling it. I was feeling it for me.
I have one of those gold border champions decks that they yeah, I only have one. I'm just a scrub, but it's Gabriel Nassif's deck, and I think it was like around that era because it was a blue-white control deck designed to fight affinity. And it's a really sweet list. Like, just I was looking at it a little bit earlier because I was sorting through my stuff, and it like plays a shit ton of wraths and a shit ton of counter spells, and then it wins with like Decree of Justice and like Eternal Dragon. It was a really sweet deck.
That was a good deck. That was the deck in Standard at the time, and the PTQ that I played in was block constructed because I've always been like a big block constructed guy, and the Crystal Witness deck was some people would say that Affinity was just the best deck period for that particular time period, and it certainly was the most dominant. But I think Crystal Witness had a fine plan against it. And when I actually went to that PTQ, it was a few months later that we went to Worlds, and I played in a PTQ with that Crystal Witness deck and did pretty well, like well enough to earn a decent amount of DCI points for playing rando people at Worlds. And at that same tournament, I played LSV in the top 8 of a Type 1 tournament at the time, what's now Vintage, playing like a mono blue control deck, and he was playing like Trinisphere Workshop.
Man.
Or just Workshop, as it's known now.
Right, just shops, like Ravager shops, I think is like now what it's referred to as. They've tried powering it down so much, but you'll never kill shops.
Blue had some good tech against those decks. Tech that I actually don't see being used very much anymore, which is kind of crazy. But Energy Flux was insane, man. It was like,
what is Energy Flux?
All artifacts have an upkeep of 2 colorless mana. So against the decks that are just like, they roll out a bunch of stuff where they, like Affinity, for instance, you play that against them, you clear their board.
Oh, yeah.
And leave them with like lands or Ravager or something like that. And then after all their lands are gone, because they have to sacrifice. Ooh, cat.
Ooh, kitty.
After all their lands are gone, then they have to sacrifice the rest of their board basically to the upkeep on the energy flux.
Mm-hmm. So, what came about after Mirrodin? Did you take a break at all, or was the cancer of Mirrodin too much for you? Followed by the horrificness of Kamigawa and oh god, what was in that set? There was Arcane. That was pretty bad.
Yeah. Kamigawa was dog shit, dude.
Soul Shift was garbage.
Can I swear, by the way?
What's that?
Can I swear?
Yeah, go for it. I swear on my channel all the time.
Good. So actually, like going to Worlds that for that particular year, we got to see a lot of like Kamigawa cards advance. Like you saw some of the art and stuff like that around the actual place where Worlds took place. So around the venue, and there were big like Moloku banners and things like that were around. And it was like, whoa, what's that going to be? And then we later learned that it was going to be this just dog shit awful set. It was like heavy on flavor, light on can it actually function.
There's a few good legendary creatures like Moloku and Kikijiki, but beyond that, it's slim pickings.
Yeah. Like for the time directly after that, I took that blue-white shell that you were talking about that was good against Affinity, and I ported that over to like a blue-white control deck that had the Genjus that attached to your land as the way to kill people, or Yosei and Kaiga and like a Moloku as the ways to win, and then a bunch of card draw counters and wraths, and that was my states deck for the very next year.
Was Moloku a very popular finisher in that standard, or was there just better options? Because it seems like it's just a super good card.
Yeah, like all the dragons were good. I guess I technically did that the next year, because it was when Ravnica was out. Like, because my deck played compulsive research, so that year I tried to do Crystal Witness and tried to turn that into a standard deck, and it didn't work out very well at all. That was a bad year.
Bad call, Sean. Bad call.
Well, you try and do what you can when new standard comes out. You're like, do I take a deck that I know has roots being good and then try and port that over with new cards, or do I try and make up a completely new deck out of nowhere? And usually, just taking some shit that already exists and putting some new cards in it is a better bet, at least in my opinion. Unless you find something that's really groundbreaking, like, I don't know, Wolf Run or something. Like when Wolf Run first came out, I was like, that is good and innovative. Okay, I get it.
I remember one of the first standard events that I had ever played in, because I played for like close to like 5, 6, 7 years before I played in my first standard event. And I was playing against John Check, who you remember. He was like my round 2 opponent, and he played Wolf Run against me, and I had never seen that. Well, no, that was my second standard event. My first standard event I played during Cawblade, and that was garbage. So I took a break. And then and then I came back and I got Wolf Run, like ran really fucking bad. It was great.
Man, Wolf Run was unforgiving too. Like that was just a deck that went like 2 to 4 lands to primetime to you're dead.
Yeah.
And there was nothing a scrub could do about a 6/6 Titan and Wolf Run on top of that, and followed by
I was playing a really bad like mono blue Delver deck with like trying to get cute with like Vapor Snags and that kind of shit, but like it was kind of like a half shell of like John Finkel's list at the time. I remember, because I was like, if I'm gonna pay money for a standard event, I'm gonna net deck and like try and play something competitive. And I was like, oh, this deck is way out of my budget. I don't feel like spending $20 for Seachrome Coast. And then I looked at today's price. I'm like, damn, I wish I paid $20 for Seachrome Coast.
No, I think the big cost in that deck was the swords.
It was
swords and Seachrome Coast.
And Geist of Saint Traft was like a $20-$25 card as well.
Man, poor Geist of Saint Traft.
Yeah, Phantasmal Image was like $10. Oh man, I remember that deck. But then I eventually played a mono green Stompulist. I remember you helped me build it. Actually, you remember that? It had like Llanowar Elves and like Strangleroot Geist and like turn 3 Dungrove Elder into like Garrick Primal Hunter, and then you could smash face with like Bellowing Tangleworm. And like Sword of Feast and Famine for value. That was one of my all-time favorite standard decks. I love that thing. It was like Get or Done Grove, I think is what we ended up calling it, or something like that.
And then people just realized that you could play a bunch of Mana Dorks and swords
and
guys, and then they were just like, oh, we'll just pair all this bullshit together and we'll just run out a Mana Dork and then put a sword on it and then go to town on people.
Right? And it's just like, oh man, that's a nice Birds of Paradise. Oh, that Birds of Paradise has a Sword of Feast of Famine equipped to it.
And it's flying over you.
Oh.
And you're dead.
Oh, that's nice.
That was a good deck. That's a nice deck.
God, great memories. But so I think we were talking about we hit up a Ravnica. So after Ravnica hit, did you ever end up taking a break, or have you stayed with Magic all the way through?
I took breaks here and there. Like my chosen profession is I like talk for a living on the radio, and so when kind of like career time came around, then it was time to not do Magic for a little while, and I had career radio stuff to do, so I put it away for a little while.
Responsibilities.
Yeah, you have to adult for a little while,
right?
And after that, quit for a little bit. But people who quit Magic never really quit. I mean, you end up missing it. You end up missing either the competition or the people, or you end up missing the actual, like fundamentals of the game. Like you want to,
or like you'll see a card.
Sharp. Yeah.
You'll see a new card and you're like, that's so powerful. And then you like look at more cards and you're like, oh my God, what did they do to the
all
game?
This craziness? Oh,
what is Goblin Chain Whirler? What the fuck?
See, that's not a card that interests me though. Stuff like, oh man, they reprinted Crucible Worlds, or that's something cool. Or they reprinted.
I shit myself when I saw Escape Shift. I was like, are you joking me? Wizards has the balls to do that? Considering how conservative they've been with reprints since, like, I don't know. I want to say like Theros is when they kind of like slowed down like reprints, and like they were doing the commander decks and stuff. And it was like a weird like dark period where like everything was really expensive, and we were all just waiting for master sets and like from the vaults and sometimes commander to give us reprints. But for the longest time, everything was super expensive all the time. Relatively. Now you go to today and you try and buy a legacy deck, and it's like, this Underground Sea is $600. Okay,
bro, I have serious reservations about what is going on right now with prices. Like, from my point of view, looking back at the entire history of Magic and seeing things like Underground Seas at $600 or Underground Seas at like $1,000. What the hell?
Yeah, man. Welcome to everyone finally catching up on reserve list cards being 25 years old. Like,
I think it's got to go, man. I think it's got to go.
I think Wizards knows that. Wizards knows that too, but I'm not sure if they're willing to pull the trigger on that because there's quote unquote legal ramifications, but they're owned by Hasbro, and I'm pretty sure Hasbro could afford paying off a good majority of the settlements. I'm pretty sure. Like in the long run of the game, like it just seems healthier to just start reprinting stuff, because if not, you're gonna have a bunch of people buying counterfeits. Like I wouldn't be surprised if you go. Yeah, I have a bunch of counterfeits as well. If you go to a legacy event, there's probably a good chance that like maybe at least 15 to 20% of the players there are playing with at least one proxy dual land.
Dude, do you have any idea how much I care about people actually paying for the cards that are in their legacy deck?
Yeah.
Zero. I care about that. Zero. I want people to play Magic.
Right. I just want to fucking play like a game of Legacy and just like try and pilot a broken deck and then fail at it. I'd rather do that than just like sit around and mope, oh, I can't play Canadian Delver, whatever the fuck it's called, because I don't have $3,000. It's like, no, fuck that. I'm just gonna go buy proxies for like $2 to $3 a piece or $50 in bulk, and then just start building from there. Like, why not? At that point, like if enough people keep doing it over and over again, it's gonna keep pressuring Wizards to do something about it. Like, either they're going to reprint stuff or they're going to start doing deck checks, which that wouldn't surprise me either, but that requires so much time and resources that would be near impossible to really do it.
Well, I just think it's asinine that a game that started out as something to do in between like in between panels at Comic-Con has gone like I get that there's art and there's certainly beauty involved in old cards, but the actual fundamentals of playing the game and the affordability of it should remain, even for old formats, even for stuff like Vintage, for like 93, 94 League. I would love to see people be able to play those formats unfettered, like, and the cost is so restrictive, like more than it ever was back in the day. Like back when I first started getting good, like the most inconceivable thing was that there would be a $25 standard card. And that card that you have behind you under the Shivan Dragon was it. A $25 card was the fucking ceiling.
Mox Diamond was a $25 card at one point.
And that was unheard of. Sliver Queen at $20 was like your most playable card in the format, the 4 of in a bunch of decks. Curse Scroll, $15, $20 tops, and you had to pay 4 of those in your deck if you were going to play a good slide deck or a good black control deck or a good or you had some in your board so that you could kill off people's protection from whatever color creatures. And it was like, that was a card that was played all over the place. Like the way Port was a 4 of in a lot of decks during the Mercadian block. And it's like those $20 cards at the time, people were like, oh God, it's so restrictive. And now you look at Standard or even these older formats and it's like, you're talking about paying thousands of dollars to play Magic? No, man, get out of here with that shit.
Yeah, exactly. It makes me wonder if like stores more like, let's say theoretically we'll have more LGSs open up in the future that will choose not to be WPN, so that way they could host like proxy events or something. Because I was thinking to myself, if I were to own a game store, that's something that I would do, is like host a no proxy limit like Vintage event and like bring in that market. Like there are people who want to play that stuff, and I'm sure like the stores are like interested in hosting that event because it's another way to foster a community, because Magic players at this point can afford Standard, Commander, Brawl, if you want to play Brawl, I guess, and then Modern, depending on your deck and time of the year, because it seems that decks shift in prices dramatically during the time of year. But like Legacy and Vintage at this point, like it's a pipe dream. It's only for the high rollers at this point, and like some people will like kind of look down and just be like, well, that's just the price, man. And it's just like, well, sure, that may be the price that you like had to pay in to buy into it, but in the long term, the prices is like it's going to be detrimental to the community and the game as a whole. Like, I'm sorry to say it, but like hoarding and trying to get in on the fact that these cards aren't going to be reprinted and theoretically aren't going to be reprinted ever again is just, it's toxic, cancerous. It's cancerous. It's not toxic. It's cancerous to the game.
Yeah, I'm with you up until like the only rub for me is like the people that have bought the cards in good faith. That and that's where you were talking about your lawsuit idea. People who bought these cards in good faith, thinking that, well, if I buy this, it's always going to retain some amount of value, and I'm not just taking my money and throwing it down a hole. Buying a painting that's a forgery, for instance. Like it's the same idea. Like oops, I bought, instead of an actual piece of art, I bought a print. That sucks. I just lost a lot of money.
Well, and like it's a weird like thing, like, and when you look at it from the investment angle, because like you turn the clock back 30, 40 years and like what people would consider investments then to when you turn the clock now, and it's like especially collectibles like Magic the Gathering cards, old video game toys, old video games even really sealed in the box. Like there's a whole new market out there for these quote unquote crypto like currency type things. And it's interesting because these collectors, they hold like these little pieces of cardboard paper in such high regard, but ultimately like 30, 40, 50 years down the line, if Magic is ever a relevant thing ever again, if you paid $500-$600 for an Underground Sea, is it ultimately like really worth it in the end then? I mean, obviously the person who's smart enough is going to sell out before it gets to that point, but
yeah.
I don't know. It just
there's something also to be said about, like, as I said earlier, the beauty of the card of old cards, like beta cards and unlimited cards and things like that, alpha cards. Oh, kitty. Those retain a certain amount of value because they are just that. They're old works of art versus like you're talking about underground seas and bayous and things like that are revised. They're not attractive. Like,
no,
revised cards are not attractive. And
white border cards in general just look bad, but especially the duels with the garbage like in the text box, and it's all like looks weird with the white border. It's like kind of gives me a seizure just looking at it.
Yeah, I mean that may just be us being elitist and you know, tongue in cheek or whatever, but there's something about like beta, alpha, beta, and unlimited cards that are just beautiful. Like the border on them, the rarity of them. But there's a lot of revised cards out there, and though there may be a high demand, I would. All I'm saying is, I would like to see a Magic get to a place where vintage and legacy and these old cards can actually be obtained and can be played, but those old cards that people have and are buying can still retain some value. You know what I mean? Like, I get buying a Beta Nevendrel's disc or something of that nature because you think it's a beautiful piece of art and it's going to increase in value because they're not making any more beta cards. Something like Underground Seas or stuff that's just so widely played, you should just give people you should allow people access to those formats in a way that's how can I put it, in a way that's like comparable to the demand. Like the access should be comparable to the demand, and people should have the ability to get into it and not lose their ass doing it. Because Magic is Magic, unless you're talking about those old cards that are bought and collected because they're ancient pieces of art. Like when they transcend and move over into the realm of like playability, that's when they print them in master sets. You know, they should do that for old lands too. Like I would love to see a series of dogs. Right. I would love to see a bunch of those old dual lands reprinted in like a pack like the Jace pack that they have out now with a bunch of powerful cards all in one booster pack that you know what you're getting, and they take and just give you the fucking land base for some buy-in amount. You know, like a pack of all 10 duels, and then you get a foiled dual land possibly out of it too for
kind of like that signature spell book, Jace.
Yeah, exactly.
that kind of reminds me of did you ever play Force of Will at all?
No.
So they kind of did this thing like in the game. They have this weird mana system that's kind of similar to Magic, but they have duels, like their own duels effectively. And about a year or so into the game, at least in America, they released this box set, and I can't remember what it was called, but it was this nice big green fat box, and it came with like 100, 200 cards, but it was like play sets of playables, including the duels and stuff. But they had like these weird green and orange borders to them to signify the difference. But it's just like, why couldn't like Magic or someone else do that? It's just like, that's such a great idea. It's like you're taking elements of a living card game and you're putting them into like a trading card game. It's kind of like almost like a Masters, but like a boxed, like complete Masters. It was really cool. And I wish like, they would do the same, like, or at least do it now with like, I don't know, the Shocklands, at least fetches. Sure. Like that'd be dope.
Fetches would be a great, like they could do that for Modern too. I would absolutely love to see that happen for Modern, because the idea of spending, like, you have a format that minus the lands is worth what, a little more than the price of Standard. And then you start putting in the land base, and you're like, oh, okay, I just went from a $300 to a $1,300 land base, or a $1,300 deck, or a $900 deck. Just cut out that nonsense, dude. Like the price of fixing your land should be should be that much. It's a burden to entry, and it's keeping the game from, I think, growing to where it needs to grow to, and be as ubiquitous as poker or as Pokemon Go.
Yeah, I agree totally, because when I finished building Mardu Pyromancer, the only card that I needed left was a couple Sacred Foundry, but I hadn't been paying attention to shock prices, because I guess over the past couple days during the process of me building the deck, they went up by like 30-40%. And then I was like, yeah, could I get a Sacred Foundry? And then he pulls them out and he's like, all right, 22 a piece. I'm like, are you fucking joking me? $22 for a Sacred Foundry? That card has been like $10 since like 2013. And then just boom, fucking exploded.
I would do that hand up the ass movement, but I have to balance my laptop on this box.
Fair enough. I'll double fist the air for you.
Thanks, dude. Really appreciate that.
Yeah.
Thanks for helping me out when I didn't have. So now that I've gone on that long fucking 20-minute tangent about why Magic cards are expensive, I did quit a couple of times. I had Tarmogoyfs when they were cheap. I sold them off when they were like $50 or $40 or something like that. I thought that was an insane deal at the time.
Man. If only hindsight would have went back in time and stopped you. Selling for $200 a pop. Oh, God, that was the worst. And now you can buy Karns and Lilies for $100 a piece. Isn't Magic fucking great? Gotta love it.
God damn it.
So anyways, you sold out of Tarmogoyfs.
I sold out of Tarmogoyfs and came back to the game after Jason the Mind Sculptor was out, after Cawblade happened. And then right about that time is when I met you out there in Milwaukee at Epic Gaming. And my cat just put his butthole in my face.
He's gonna keep hanging out with us during the chat. I'm waiting for him to like get up on your shoulder or hang out behind you or something.
Oh yeah, they'll do that a lot. I'll just see him out there, you know, chilling up here, chilling back there.
They're a bit camera shy. It's okay.
Motherfuckers. And then after that, I would say my next point of like downward turn in Magic was leaving the Milwaukee area, coming down here to Eugene, where people are either scrub-a-dub-dubs or they're way too spiky for me to play, for me to handle. So I'm here kind of on my own down in Eugene, Oregon, and don't get to play very much Magic anymore, but I do keep up with it, and I do love talking to you guys about it, you and the homies back there from the Milwaukee and Oregon City and Southeast Portland area.
Right? I was about to say, like, every time I like go to Epic and play Commander, I'm just like, man, I miss Sean. I wish Sean was here. I wish he didn't have a good job out in Eugene so he could hang out here with us. How dare he be a responsible adult?
Good job. Yeah.
So you said the community down in Eugene isn't like what you dig at all, or like what exactly about it?
So like there's a couple of shops around here that are fine. You know, they're like places where a lot of filthy casuals go. There's a place that's like the beginner shop. There's an intermediate shop out in Springfield, which I really like the pace of, and I like the people that own that. And then downtown on 13th and Willamette, there's doesn't really matter. On Willamette Street, there's a shop where all the spikes go, Addictive Behaviors, and it's just not my vibe anymore.
What's it called? Like, Addicted Behaviors?
Addictive Behaviors.
That's a weird fucking name for a shop.
Yeah, it sounds like a recovery place.
Right?
Like a place where you go when you do crystal meth.
Yeah, but if I saw that on the side of my street and if I didn't see like Magic stuff like hanging out in the window, I probably would think twice about it. Addictive Behavior. That's a bit dark to call it.
I will say for them, actually, it's right next to the fucking bus stop in downtown Eugene. So, like, there's hella meth people out there. Whoop, whoop, shout out meth.
That's Oregon, man.
Yes. But, I mean, in fairness to Addictive Behaviors, their shop is very nice, and they have a lot of cool products. Their prices are kind of up there, but, like, they have a lot of people that are there playing, and they foster a pretty decent community of spikes. But it's, like, a place that I went into, and people didn't respond to me at all when I was like, hey, does somebody want to play a game of Magic? And people were just like, who the fuck is this guy? Shun the non-believer.
Oh.
And so I was like, all right, well, this is not my place. If only they knew. If only they knew.
Man, you got to be like me, man. You just keep to yourself, and then if you never bring it up to anyone, you'll never be disappointed. You just keep a low threshold of expectations. You hope and wait for someone to talk to you, and if they don't, then you just go home and cry to yourself at night.
Wow, dude. No, man, I'm like exactly the way I play Magic the Gathering. I engage, and then I like test the boundaries, and like blow my whole load at once. And then if it doesn't work, I'm like, well, that was fun, and walk away. It's exactly how I play Commander. Cat.
Yeah, I'm a bit more. I don't know. I don't know what kind of Commander player I am. Like, I'll try to get a gauge, or I'll try to gauge the table and like try to get a feel, like do some threat assessment and like talk to people and like try to figure out like, do you have something in your hand that could mess with me or something? But most of the time, I'm a pretty conservative player until like I feel like I see an opening, and then I kind of like go not necessarily for the throat, but I start applying some pressure. I'll like start making alliances. I'm like, I'll like openly state it. It'll be like, hey, like what's a good example? I had Vandal Blast in my hand. I was playing Atali, and the board was overcommitted with artifacts, and a friend was playing Kami of the Crescent Moon, and he was about to cast another artifact, and I knew he had counter spells in his hand. So he was about to play it, and I told him, I was like, because the opportunity was about to present itself unless he had the counter in his hand. So as he was casting, I was like, hey, take that back right now, because I'm going to blow up all the artifacts on the board. He didn't play a single artifact at all yet, and he just kind of stopped, and he looked at me, and then the other two players were like, well, what the fuck? And then I was like, okay, Vandal Blast.
Get wrecked, son.
Yeah. That's the kind of player that I'm like. I make it obvious.
This pleases me greatly. It's fun to make alliances with people, and then fuck them later on.
Yeah, of course. Like, I'll make an alliance with someone just so they don't attack me, and then when it comes to my turn immediately after theirs, I'll just try and kill them that turn or something.
You never should have trusted me.
Exactly. It was like, there's 3 people left. What do you expect me to do? The other guy's got a 20/20 indestructible blocker. I'm good. I'm just going to attack you. Thanks for not doing anything.
No problem. End of your turn. Flash in this Dictate of Erebos and sack all your guys.
Like this game last night, I activated Mosswort Bridge. I had Brutalizer Exarch hidden underneath it. And then I use Mosswort Bridge to bring Deadeye Navigator back on top, and I had Scene Board Muse on the field. Oh my god, let me tell you. Landoing people like that.
God, people love Lando. People love that.
Especially when you shuffle it into their deck or at the bottom of their library instead of their graveyard so they can't get it back.
You know what you did right there?
Huh.
You're friend for life.
Thanks. I thought we were friends for life already.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we are, but like those people that you fucked over playing EDH, friends for life.
Oh, it's fine. You know, people at Epic fucking play Cutthroat Commander because they always do packs for like prizes and stuff. So it's like, if there's any prize at all, God forbid, Magic players can't play casual shit at all. They want that pack, that one free pack. God.
Dude, actually, that's an interesting part of the discussion on Magic, because bear with me here. As Magic cards were cheaper back in the day, I used to go to a tournament at Eternal Elysium in Portland, which was like a bus ride away from me, like a bus ride away from my house in Milwaukee. And I would go basically to like Division and 82nd. It was like kind of the slums or whatever.
What was the shop called?
Eternal Elysium.
Oh, yeah, they're not around. I've never heard of them.
Not at all. Not anymore. But I used to enter a tournament for $7 playing Standard, and it was like 4 rounds of Standard cut to top 8. And at the end of the tournament, there was $100 for first place, and there was I want to say $40 for second place, and then like 20 and 10 for third and fourth.
That's quite the prize pool.
It's a huge prize pool.
Right.
Especially when you're playing with a deck that's worth what? Even with Curse Scrolls in it, you're talking $150, $200.
Right. Like
even with like the top of the top for standard of the day, you're winning more than half your deck's value in prize for first place. That's pretty insane, right?
Yeah. God, if you were doing just that for inflation today, and like you were to play like your $200 to $300 standard deck, like what would be like a comparable like first place prize at, like, I don't know, let's say Guardian Games, for example.
Sea.
An Underground Sea, huh? Damn.
Or a
even though the deck's already got a playset of Cursed Scrolls, that would be $60 already right then.
Yeah.
And then
maybe it's more like a fucking Bayou or something.
Okay.
But still, you're talking about like a big return on a modest investment. What to you seems like a pretty big investment at the time. So, like, I just think that people got so much more out of the game back in the day, and now like there's this strange prize pool adjustment, and like the shop has to try and make money.
Right.
Shop has to try and like game a little bit off the top, because like the local game shops just don't get what they used to out of Wizards. Like,
yeah.
They don't
the
have
overhead is just too much now. Like the world has gotten more expensive than what the game store can afford. But like,
yeah, exactly. Like the model is still from that time. The business model is still from that time, and yet it's using the like economic model of today, and the two things don't jive.
No, not at all. Like a lot of shops just don't adapt at all. Like I think that's definitely smart on Epic's end. Or for those of you that don't know, Epic Gaming is a local game store that we met at, and is kind of an old stomping ground for us. But so they, like, with the decline of like standard players and just Magic players in general, they started opening up like fighting game tournaments, and they had like TVs out and shit, and like they opened more up to like Pokemon, and now like Final Fantasy, TCG, they're opening up more sources of revenue. And like from what I understand, they live stream Final Fantasy events, and they get pretty decent views on YouTube. They're like one of the biggest viewed streams on YouTube for Final Fantasy. But then they also do fighting game tournaments, which also brings in a heavy amount of revenue, because the amount of overhead isn't really that much, because all you have is a bunch of CRT TVs, and then someone brings in a bunch of consoles, and then you just charge like $5, $10, $15 a head. Everyone buys sodas, and then it seems like a pretty decent business model to add on top of the slow days where Magic players aren't playing Magic.
Yeah, it was a good idea. The proprietor of Epic Gaming certainly listened to the gentleman from the Wu-Tang Clan when they said diversify y'all bonds. And diversify he did.
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't listened to that Wu-Tang song. I'm sorry.
The esteemed gentleman from the Wu-Tang Clan encouraged you to diversify your bonds.
Okay.
I believe that was from Chappelle Show, actually.
Oh, okay. Well, then that would make sense. I only know a few like songs off of, the one album that everyone already knows. I can't. The 36 Chambers, I think, is what it's called.
Word.
Yeah, I'm a basic fan. I don't fucking know shit.
Well, have you seen the color of your skin, sir?
I'm Native American. Thank you very much. The tan is starting to come in a little bit.
Yeah, bro.
During the winters, I get pretty fucking pale. But
you're that Midwest Indian, bro.
Yeah. Or oh no, I don't want to say that. That's super racist. Even though it's making fun of my own kind, it's super racist. I can't say that. I can't throw it away in the first episode. I'm sorry. We'll just leave you all on your toes there. But
if Jeremy from Unsleeved Media was here, you could say it.
Boy, that's a can of worms that is yet to be fully opened yet.
Give it time, son.
Yeah, and just gonna let it cook. Let it simmer for a little bit. Anyways, moving on.
He already made a response to our video that we're making right now.
Right now, he's right on it. He's like, that motherfucker. I hate that guy.
And for some reason, he's punching down. In comedy, you're supposed to punch up to the people above you, people that have like more views than you. But for him, for some reason, all the people that are punching up at him, he chooses to punch down at us.
makes for good entertainment, man. YouTube is all about views nowadays. You got to get people to click on your channel, otherwise it just dies to the algorithm.
Oh no, not the algorithm.
The algorithm. There's a reason why my channel's been kind of hemorrhaging subs for the past few months, and that's because I haven't been uploading. So the algorithm's like, fuck this channel, turn the knob, and sub growth drops.
Bro, you just said that you haven't been uploading, and for some reason it's the algorithm's fault.
I don't like taking personal responsibility. Thank you very much, sir.
That's better not get too close to the sun, little snowflake.
Yeah. Aw. My name's Icarus now. Thank you very much.
Be careful, Icarus. Be careful, Icarus.
So, oh God, where were we at? Okay, now we do the whole my start thing. So you said, when did you start again? What was the set you started in?
96, right around Ice Age and 4th edition.
Okay. So I started in 2004. Yeah, during Kamigawa. That's when I started. And I have a very strong nostalgic tie to it. I have an affinity, as it were, for Kamigawa. And I started playing. I got like a collection from an older friend of mine who was getting out of Magic at the time. And he had a bunch of like Urzas and Mercadian Mask stuff. And I had never seen the old bordered cards before. So it was like, it blew my fucking mind seeing like all these weird ass cards like Sandor or Jandor saddlebags and
that card 6 dicks.
Yeah, just like a bunch of these weird old fucking cards and like Triskelion and like Ashnage Transmogrant and stuff. But like I remember the collection that I had. I remember I had multiple Sensei's Divining Tops. My stepdad's mom at the time bought me that rat deck, so I had a JIT. I didn't know it was super powerful and it was super OP, but I had a JIT. But that I eventually lost that collection because my friends stopped playing Magic, so I in turn stopped playing Magic. So from like 2005 to like 2009, I stopped playing in general, and then I came back to it, seeing other friends play, and I got back into it. And that was at the right when Zendikar came out. And like, so I got another collection of stuff in. I remember I had a PSP and I traded it to a friend for like a shit ton of Magic cards, and it was like all Alara block stuff. So I just got really back into it, and then started playing Standard, and I played Cawblade for my first Standard event. I was playing a mono blue mill deck with Jace Valerian and Traumatize and the 1 mana mill 5. I can't remember what it's called. Not Thought Scour. Tome Scour.
Dog shit.
Yeah, dog shit dot deck.
Tome Scour. Oh right, Tome Scour, not dog shit.
I'm sorry. It's really confusing. But so I got fucking steamrolled, and I was like, you know what? I'm not gonna play Standard. And I bought From the Vault Dragons. This is also my first time playing at Epic, by the way, too. This was like in 2010 or something. So I'm like a quote unquote OG player there. But I remember buying the From the Vault Dragons and opening it and seeing it in Shivan Dragon, which, hey, Shivan Dragon. But that sold me. I was like, okay, I'm a Magic fan for life when I saw that. Probably because I paid $110 for it at the time. But like just seeing all those really cool cards and like Hellkite Tyrant and like Eben Dragon and Rith the Awakener and stuff. It was just like, all right, I'm playing Magic for life at this point. And then it just
was a good one.
Yeah, and then it was just like a downhill slope from there. Hey, we got Perp in the chat. How's it going, man?
Holy shit, is that our first person?
No, we've had a bunch of people in the chat.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Do you not have a window open?
Have they been saying things?
They've been saying a lot of things. You've been missing out, dude.
Where the fuck is the chat window? I want to respond to these people.
We are so prepared.
It's a button that says chat.
I was gonna say, just go to my YouTube channel and you'll see the live video there, and then like just pause the video because
I'm looking forward to people lighting me up on YouTube. By the way,
yeah, it's great. The more openly you shit talk and like the more drama you bring in, you know, it's gonna come your way. But you know,
oh really?
Yeah,
fuck Tulare Community College.
I mean, I know
just
for
joking,
a fact
that guy's delightful.
I was going to say, I know for a fact Perp agrees with you. He also strongly dislikes Tulare Community College.
Many Magic players have asked the question, Is
Why
Tasty
do my
Snack
balls
is a total dick online.
Man.
Sorry, I totally threw you off.
Yeah, I know. I got thrown off for a loop there, so there was like a super awkward silence there for a second. Thanks, Sean. But so
welcome to broadcasting.
Yeah, live. Who cares? Fuck it. We'll do it live. I can edit it and post afterwards. Fuck it.
But, you're not gonna edit this in post.
No, that's way too much effort for me. Are you kidding me? I'm just gonna, as soon as we're done with this, I'm gonna edit the thumbnail and then I'm gonna go to fucking bed. That's what's happening.
Good man.
But so yeah, that's pretty much my Magic history. As soon as I started going to Epic, like all my money, all of my good life decisions, my social life, just gone, just fucking gone. But you know what's coming out in the next few weeks, sir? Take a guess.
Another Magic set.
Yeah, it's not like we haven't been talking about this prior. If you could take a guess,
bro.
Yeah, what's the Magic set that's coming out? Do you know? Because I don't know.
M fucking 20,000.
Yeah, I don't
M19.
However, there is a card from this set that really caught my attention. In fact, there are 5 that caught my attention. How many for you, sir? You said you had 5 as well, plus some honorable mentions.
6.
You got 6. All right, 6. All right, so we'll go ahead and we'll take some turns. We're gonna go over a few cards and we're gonna discuss them. So I don't think I can get like an image to show on the stream. I'm sure y'all can just listen to us talk about the cards and then
you want to do rock, paper, scissors, so you goes first?
You go ahead and go first. You have the honorable mention, so
scissors.
Paper.
Oh, see, I won anyways. Okay, my first card on the list is Vinemare. Vinemare is a creature, an elemental horse. 4 mana, 5/3 with hexproof. Can't be blocked by black creatures. I like me a good large-bodied hexproof creature.
That's the green horse you said?
It is the green horse.
What's his power and toughness again?
5/3.
Oh, wow.
5 powers.
Jeez.
I think the reason that I like it is because it reminds me of Phantom Centaur. Phantom Centaur.
What is that card?
It's one of those cards that has like 1/1 counters on it, and then it prevents the damage that's dealt to it. Instead, you remove a 1/1 counter. And it starts out as a 5/3 also. It has protection from black in the same way that Vinemare cannot be blocked by black creatures. But it looks to me that they're not really doing the protection stuff anymore.
Yeah.
I haven't seen that done in a while.
Yeah, especially, what was it, the Knights in Dominaria? They have like hexproof from black and hexproof from white. Like, I like how they're kind of like changing things up. It helps keep cards from not getting super stale.
Yeah, if I'm completely honest with you, the protection mechanic was always a little busted, dude. Like, it was a little unfair for the decks that like wanted to interact with it. You know, maybe you could say, "Fuck you, Magic is tough," like boo-hoo. But there were definitely some times where my protection from red, like Soltari Priest or whatever, was just unbeatable when life linked up back in the day, and like Mirren Crusader and shit like that having protection from multiple colors is just like,
oh man, Mirren Crusader, God, that was the fucking dream,
bro. Mirren Crusader was so hood. Oh my god.
Or Phyrexian Crusader, man. That's also the best too, because you know you get to end the game like 2 to 3 turns quicker. But Mirren Crusader, I tried jamming that card in Modern. Turns out it's not really that good in Modern, but
that's the lightning bolt. Fucking sucks.
Yep, it's protection from black and green. You know, abrupt decays, that kind of shit. But turns out if it dies to bolt, it's pretty bad.
Yeah, bolt is definitely the card in Modern. Like, it would die to shock, even if bolt wasn't in the format, it would still die to shock. So, Mirren Crusader, though awesome, and hits hard, dies to various removal. Whereas Le Horsey, Senior Vinemare, has hexproof, and it hexproofs its way through a lot of things. So that's why I think it's a cool card, and it reminds me of old cards, so I like it.
All right, fair enough. My number 5 is going to be a green card. It's a bit more intense in terms of casting costs, but I'm going to choose Giganosaurus, which is 5 pips, 5 green for a 10/10. That's it. Just a vanilla 5 mana 10/10. And You know, the nerd in me wants to say, Wizards, you guys fucked it up. It's supposed to be the Giganotosaurus, not the Giganosaurus.
Dude, coming at you through the power of the internet.
Right? Oh, yeah. I guess that is Francis, right?
No. Only Francis is Francis.
That's true.
Hey, bro, by the way, shout out Francis, because that fat gentleman is my people. Like, we are both large-bodied individuals, and I love him to death.
Have you followed his weight loss at all?
He looks like he's doing good.
Right? Fucking, it makes me feel bad about my lazy self. It's like, man, I could move my life and, position myself better, but yet here I am not doing that. And then I see someone like Boogie just like literally lose someone like my size's worth of weight in like 6 months. And it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, you go, dude. That's amazing. Like, people who have resolve like that, I have nothing but respect for people like that. Because I know for a fact I don't.
Remind me, by the way, to never ever make fun of Boogie on any kind of real level, because like that guy's an inspiration to other people. Like, somebody who is afflicted by like the depression and all that other stuff, and then still like manages to pull himself out of like 600-pound land to get back to non-whale status, and like he's out there doing great things. God bless that guy.
Right? It's fucking amazing.
Sorry to mess up your list with the shout out to Boogie, but that's for real.
It's all good, man. I think we're up to your number 5 now.
My number 5. I did my number 5. I got Tezzeret Artifacts Master as my next pick.
I've seen a flash of that one. What is it again? He's like
he's Planeswalker with 5 loyalty. He costs 5. And his +1 is put a colorless Thopter artifact with flying into play.
Wow.
Or
that's his +1?
Yeah, his +1 is make a guy, so that's always good.
Wow. Yeah, that's pretty damn good. In a blue Planeswalker.
Make a little artifact army out of it. Or at 0, it's draw a card if you control an artifact. If you control 3 or more artifacts, you draw 2 cards off his 0 ability.
Oh.
Yeah. Good stuff. Wow. So set up a little army or defend himself, and then he has a good 0 ability. And then his -9 ability is you get an emblem with, at the beginning of your end step, search your library for a permanent card and put it into the battlefield, then shuffle your library. Wow.
Yeah, that seems like a really fucking good Planeswalker in blue. Just the fact that he protects himself with his +1 of all things.
Yeah.
And then that 0, like, so immediately my mind went to Metalwork Colossus, because that's a deck that I've been trying to make work in standard for years at this point, and it's just not very good. But this is a great Planeswalker for that. Like, holy shit. But like, I don't know like if this is like an affinity playable Planeswalker at all. Like, I don't think so, because like sometimes affinity wants to go like the Tezzerator route, and even though like that isn't even like the most playable, but this card seems like it's going to be like a standard all-star for as long as Kaladesh is still in the format. That's for damn sure.
Yeah, he's an interesting dude. And like you said, the fact that he protects himself and makes a little army of guys is pretty neat. He's a neat build around me card. Probably something where you have to have other artifacts in your deck to help kind of get you there.
Mm-hmm.
You probably have to have other means of like getting to that point. Like, what is there? There's a couple of different like 3 mana tap to make mana artifacts in this format also, as I'm cruising down here on the
there's the rare, and then there's there's the rare that draws you a card, and then there's Manolith as well. Plus you also have stuff in the format. You have artifacts that ETB draw cards like Metalworker's Puzzle Knot and Prophetic Prism. Like, it seems like a cool like kind of janky like blue-black artifact deck that you can build. Like, there's a creature that ensouls artifacts now, I believe, as well. And then from Ether Revolt, there's a blue-black enchantment that ensoul artifacts. Tezzeret's Touch, I think is what it's called.
Interesting.
Yeah, the deck is definitely there. I don't know if like maybe you could play like a 1 or 2 of Metalwork Colossus in there to be super spicy, but Tezzeret definitely opens up the possibility. And like in Commander too, he seems like he's a great card in Commander. Like, especially that 0 is just like a sweet draw engine, because you're playing like a Brea deck and it's full of like Thopters anyways.
Yeah, certainly in Commander, like I'm fine with playing other 5 mana Tezzeret and to play maybe this guy in there too. I'd be cool with that. I just like Tezzeret's a fun, flavorful mechanic too that has some actual power behind him. So that certainly sets me up to probably want to play a card like that more often. But he's just cool. So Tezzeret is my number 4. Number 4.
Very good. So my number 4 is, I have to look up the name of the card again. It is Supreme Phantom. So it's 1 and a blue for a 1/3 flyer. Other spirits you control get +1/+1. Spirits is another pet deck of mine because I remembered that was one of my first net decks in Standard was the John Finkel Drogskull Captain Phantasmal Image list.
Fun deck.
Yeah, and this kind of like rings those same bells. I mean, yeah, it doesn't give your stuff hexproof, but like you played in a modern deck with, you know, Drogskull Captains and Phantasmal Images and Mausoleum Wanderers with like a Coco or something. Like it seems like it'd be a fun deck. Not necessarily too legitimate, but it seems pretty fun. I don't know about Standard because it doesn't seem like there's like that many relevant spirit creatures at all. Like I don't think there is, at least none that come to mind. But
does Drogskull Captain give your other guys hexproof as well, or just 1/1?
Just 1/1, I think. No, I think he also gives them hexproof because like the combo is you Phantasmal Image the Drogskull Captain, and then you can like lock them down. You can lock down your board essentially. I think that's how it goes.
Looking on Gatherer.
But yeah, this card is.
Ooh, yeah, it totally does.
Yeah, it's pretty sweet. It's like it's always been like a tier 2.5, tier 3 deck, but like I feel like with this card, like another Lord, it bumps things up a little bit. Like sure, it still dies to bolt, sure, but if you can get a Drogskull Captain online, then he's got a big ass, and it's going to be hard to deal with.
Whatever, man. Lots of stuff dies to bolt. Bob dies to bolt, but he still sees play.
Yeah, everything dies to Doomblade, so get fucked.
Cool card, counterspell.
Right? Everything dies to counterspell. So
everything dies to counterspell.
Exactly.
Okay, here's Nick, by the way, here's another fun fact about me. This is a point of pride for me as a Magic player. When Counterspell left the format, the current iteration of online from Wizards content was their like sideboard. You know, you remember the sideboard back in the day? I
don't.
So what wizards.com/magic is now is kind of like what sideboard was back in the day. And they wrote an article about how Counterspell was this ubiquitous thing in Magic for as long as it had been around. Like Counterspell was around. And when it left the format, the guy who wrote the article quoted me in big text on the article that said, as long as powerful cards have existed, there's been Counterspell to stop them. Sean McBee on the article on Wizards, on the Wizards site.
You got your feature from Wizards before me. That's so awesome.
Woo!
And now that you're in the podcast with me, that means effectively through like the Kevin Bacon theory, I think, right? Yeah, 6 degrees of separation or what the fuck ever. That means I've also been featured by Wizards of the Coast. So yeah, totally. Life goal, that means I can stop this YouTube channel. All right, stream's over. Goodbye, everyone.
Let's hang it up, gentlemen.
But yeah.
So that spirit guy looks pretty good though. The 1/3 looks like a cool flyer, cool addition to some sort of Drogskull Captain shell. If you're gonna make some sort of spirit deck, because there's obviously other awesome spirits out there, like the Selfless Spirit guy and like the thing you can sack to counter a spell and all that sort of stuff.
Oh yeah, Spell Queller and stuff. And then I think there's another spirit in Core 19 where like you sack it and it exiles all cards from all graveyards. I think it's a spirit.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah,
he looks kind of ghosty.
That's a nice little. I don't know if you'd want to replace Rest in Peace for it, but like it also helps out with Spirit Tribal as well. But what is your number 4, sir?
Did my number 4? I'm on to 3 now.
Oh, you're on to number 3. That's right. You were ahead.
Actually, I had Bone Dragon down, which is an interesting card as a finisher. It's a 5 mana, 5/4 flyer that. It's 3 colorless and 2 black for the casting cost, and he has kind of an alternate way to get him into play. You pay 3 colorless and 2 black, and exile 7 other cards from your graveyard to return Bone Dragon from your graveyard to the battlefield tapped.
I don't know how I feel about that card.
I like a good recurring creature, but I think that's the old Magic player in me that's like, oh, you can use this guy over and over again to get value. Interesting.
Seems like a lot, though. Like you're digging quite far to get that value with that card, though.
I feel like it's a card that you discard, like, to get where you need to go. Like, along the way, you sift through your hand, discard that guy in favor of other cards, maybe, like some sort of faithless looting like effect.
And well, there's cathartic
him back into play.
I think Cathartic Reunion and Tormenting Voice are still in the format.
That they are.
Yeah,
they are. Or the Red Planeswalker, discard that guy and then delve up 7 cards and put him back into play. But it does cost mana, so I think it is just the old school player in me, like, oh, you can get this guy back without having to invest actual cards into it. Interesting. And it does not say that you can do that. You have to do that as a sorcery. You can do that EOT and untap with him. So that's kind of interesting as well. I like doing things at the end of people's turns.
Yes.
Also an old school Magic player holdover.
Of course. Well, I mean, like, most older players I've noticed are like blue players. Like, some people, they'll just, a lot of people, they'll be like, I'm a red player, I'm a green player. But like, I've noticed, like, the older the player you are, or at least not the older, the more experienced player that you are, the more blue that you have in your blood, because you can only die to Counterspell and Wrath and X finisher decks for so long until you finally give in and you taste the sweet, delicious taste of saying no and slamming threats.
Yes.
But what's your actual number 3? Because you said it was Bone Dragon, or was...
It was going to be Bone Dragon, but now the card that kind of intrigues me at the number 3 spot is Isolate. Have you seen this card?
That's the white card, right? It's a weird modern legacy card.
Yeah, exile target permanent with converted mana cost 1 for 1 white mana.
It's an instant, right?
It is.
Good. Otherwise, it'd be stone cold unplayable.
That is a really interesting card.
Yeah, so it hits like Delver Secrets, hits Deathrite Shaman, hits
get the fuck out of here, Deathrite Shaman.
Grim Lavamancer, Goblin Guide, hits a bunch of stuff. I don't know, like, it's definitely more playable in Legacy than it is in Modern, because a lot of times you will see more like 2-drop and 3-drop creatures more than you'll see 1-drop stuff. But in Legacy, it's way more common because, well, stuff like Deathrite Shaman isn't banned. But I don't know, like, would it be a main deckable card at all? Like, let's say you'd played it in like a Death and Taxes list, for example. Like, is that like a 1 or 2 of in your sideboard, or is that worth justifying playing in the main board at all?
You see, I'm not sure, because like in the thing that I'm unsure about is, like, in Legacy you already have STP. Like, you already have Swords, so
right.
Swords is very good. And this thing handles, I mean, what it handles, enchantments, artifacts, things of that nature. Like, what else is it going to hit? That's what kind of interests me about it, is it's like, it takes care of a 1-mana card, so it deals with something.
Oh, does it hit just creatures, or can it hit other things?
No, it can hit other things too.
Oh, wow. So yeah, you can smash an Aether Vial. Yeah, actually that seems better if you can hit like Aether Vial and like...
Yeah, that's a good point too. Hitting Aether Vial is good.
Yeah, Top, and what else is there?
Top's banned in Legacy.
Oh yeah, that's right. I forgot. Oh man, can't live the dream anymore.
That's probably best. Top needed to go.
Shows you how long I've played, or how long it's been since I played Legacy. The last time I played Legacy was at GP Seattle in 2015. I scrubbed out so fucking bad that it made me sell off my deck.
That's all right, man. Legacy's a son of a bitch. It's a very skill intensive set. You got to have a lot of practice with it. In my personal opinion,
I was playing Mono Red Burn, and that's a deck that I've been piloting in Legacy for years, off and on. And I took it to the event, hoping that I wouldn't face against Elves, because Elves is Burn's worst matchup by far. Like, you cannot win with a Burn deck against Elves. Round 1, got paired against like some weird like jank deck. Round 2, elves. Round 3, elves. Round 4, elves. Loss, X3. Round 4, I got paired up against elves, and then I lost game 1, and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna go enjoy the rest of my day before I tilt.
Hey, you know why you faced a bunch of elves in round 2 and 3 and 4?
Why is that?
Because elves is for losers. It's losers bracket deck.
I think Lance won that event, actually.
Claw your way back from a fucking 0-2 start. Stupid elves players.
It was a 1-3 start. Thank you very much. And I was like, yeah, fuck this. It's not worth it.
I'm just joking out there, punking on elves players. Elves is a fun deck to play. And it can be kind of difficult sometimes. You got to sequence your shit right.
Yeah, I like the modern version of elves much better. I don't like this whole greater good into Craterhoof behemoth bullshit. I'd rather just see if they can jam Coco or Etsuri in the right sequence of events and kill you that way.
Coco.
Mm-hmm.
Good lord.
It's an amazing deck. Or it's an amazing card. But
what's your number 3, guy?
My number 3 is I'm split. I think I'm going to choose the Demon of Catastrophes as my number 3. So Demon of Catastrophes is a 2/2 black for a 6/6 Flample, and then as an additional cost to cast this spell, sacrifice a creature. So the thing that I like the most about this, besides the fact that it's a 6/6 Flample for 4 with like virtually no drawback, is that it's on the cast trigger. So you can send it to the graveyard for whatever reason, like discarding, and then find a way to bring it back onto the field. And then you just get a 6/6 Flampler. Flampler is flying trample, by the way. I just like to condense the words. But and also like let's say you play it in standard, turn 1, Forest, Llanowar Elves, turn 2, Woodland Cemetery, play like Rishkar, turn 3, play Demon of Catastrophes with another black source, like another Woodland Cemetery or something like that, and then you sacrifice your Llanowar Elves, and you have a turn 3 flying trample 6/6. That also seems pretty great. Like this creature is like, I feel like it's being swept underneath the radar or whatever because of all these reprints that we're seeing with like Crucible Worlds and Scape Shifts and stuff, and people are forgetting about cards like Demon of Catastrophes. And I feel like Demon of Catastrophes will make much more and much quicker of an impact than Desecration Demon did. And Desecration Demon had to wait until Mono Black Devotion was a thing before it finally became a viable card. This right here doesn't require your opponent to keep stacking stuff. It's just a one-time investment, and then it can just end the game for you in 2 to 3 turns.
Yeah, just getting rid of one creature. I mean, like, I don't want to get 2 for 1, but it's kind of the same size as Desecration Demon was, and you can get 2 for 1 with Desecration Demon too. So, it seems better. It seems better than Desecration Demon was. Yeah,
I mean, Desecration Demon could grow theoretically.
I don't know, man. That may be your inner scrub talking right there.
I don't know, man. I see this Demon of Catastrophes. I'm not saying that it's like a tier 1 4 of in like every deck. Like if you're not playing this, you're gonna lose type of card. Yeah. I just feel like it's one of those. I don't know. It's just
no Gigantosaurus.
I like Gigantosaurus because it appeals to the child in me. This appeals to the brewer in me. This makes me want to build like weird aristocrat decks.
Oh my god, that's awful.
Don't knock it, man. I play red-white vehicles in standard with Huatli, Warrior Poet. Dude, she's so gas. Huatli, like, that's another card that everyone's forgotten about. And then yesterday I was playing against Joe. You know Joe.
Oh, I know Joe.
Yeah, I was playing against him, and then I had a board full of tokens that Huatli had made, and I attacked, and he was like, okay, and I block like this. And I was like, okay, you still lose. And he's like, what? And I was like, they're 3/3s with trample. He's like, they're fucking trample? He's like, you're fucking lying. And then I showed him the card, and he makes 3/3s with trample. It turns out Huatli Warrior Poet's a much better card than people give it credit for.
Shout out to Huatli.
Huatli? Why do you keep saying it like Huatli?
Like hummus.
Like hummus and cool whip.
Indeed.
So what's your number 2, sir?
God, is it my turn again?
It is. I'm sorry.
I keep seeing all these new cards that I didn't realize were in the set, and then I'm like, oh, I want that to be my number 1 or my number 2. Saw another one a second ago that like it's actually been out for a couple of days, but it just bumped out my dumb amulet thing that I was going to talk to you about. Cleansing Nova. I like me a Wrath of God, and I love Austere Command. If you've ever played with Austere Command, you know the flexibility of that card is ridiculously good. So Cleansing Nova.
What does it do exactly?
5 mana, sorcery. Choose one. You can either destroy all creatures or destroy all artifacts and enchantments.
Yeah, that actually seems like, like you were saying, flexibility is key. Like the reason why Fumigate is even playable in the first place in Standard is because of gaining the life off of it. Now, whereas this does cost 5 mana, you have the choice of, well, I mean, yeah, it's bad against the non-creature decks. It's Fumigate, that is. But Nova Cleansing, hey, turns out if your opponent's trying to play like some weird artifact jank with the new Tezzeret, here's a nice little blowout for you.
Exactly. Oh, you want to make a bunch of Thopters? Get out of here.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yep. Freaking guy. What about you? What's your number 2?
So my number 2 is, let me pull it up again, Mirror Image. So Mirror Image is 2 and a blue for an uncommon 0/0 shapeshifter. You may have Mirror Image enter the battlefield as a copy of any creature you control. Now, this is very reminiscent of Phyrexian Metamorph. For those of you that don't know what Phyrexian Metamorph is, it's 3 colorless and a Phyrexian blue for a clone that can clone either a creature or an artifact. And this reminds me of it because it still costs 3 mana effectively, just like how Phyrexian Metamorph would, because if you're honestly playing or paying the 2 life for it, you're doing it wrong. But Mirror Image is very reminiscent of that for me, and Clone has always kind of been like a fringe non-playable card just because of it's just awkward to cast on turn 4 in general. But being able to do it on turn 3, I feel like definitely changes things up a bit. And especially if you can get like multiple clones and like you're trying to like clone multiple, or like there's a new semi-Siege Rhino card in the format. It's like 3 and double black. And like when it ETBs, it's drains for 3. And you start copying it with stuff like Mirror Image. And there's a couple other clone effects that were like spoiled or are in Standard already. Like it's just another card that kind of gets the Brewers juices in my brain flowing, and it's also another great like clone for like Commander, because I feel like just being 3 is just way better than being 4. But then again, you can't copy your opponent's stuff. Oh well, it doesn't fucking matter. You're not.
That matters, dude. That absolutely matters.
I guess
on Mirror Image it matters. Like the enchantment that lets you copy any creature. And just attach it to a creature that already exists. I think I like that card better than the copy just a creature you control thing, than the Mirror Image card.
I'm sorry, but you're wrong.
Oh, wrong. I'm wrong. You're right. How silly of me to state my opinion.
It's okay. I'll forgive you this time.
Wow.
But yeah.
In today's day and age, what? You don't like my opinion? Pfft, Nazi.
Banned, blocked,
hammer,
and reported. But yeah, in terms of like the floor for this card, because I've been talking about ceiling, this card is just really bad, obviously, if you have no targets for it, and if you're playing the clone deck and there's no targets for it, because it's just otherwise a dead card in your hand. And it could be a trap card, very well could be a trap card. I don't know if I really want to jam it in Standard all that much. This is much more of a Commander card for me, in my opinion. Especially like in my Animar deck, where I can, have as many 1 mana clones as I want. And this kind of fits that theme a little bit better just because it's easier on the mana, but that's just me.
Says the guy who plays Animar. Yeah,
it turns out my number 1 is also for Animar, but we'll get to that later. So what's your number 1, sir?
The number 1 card that I think is cool is a Viashino Pyromancer. It's a wizard. It slings people when it comes into play. It's aggressively cost for red. Though it does die to Chain Whirler, so that's a problem.
That's the 2 mana. It's like 1 in a red, right?
Yep, does 2 damage to a player or a planeswalker, I think, when it comes into play.
Yeah, that card also caught my attention. The second I saw that and the Mana War Wizard, I was like, okay, I think Blue-Red Wizards is very much a viable deck now in the format. Yeah. Especially with the Panharmonicon Wizard and Dominaria. Nabon, I think is his name.
It just feels like a card that they put in there to try and make the Wizards deck a thing.
Mm-hmm. I thought like for some reason it was a reprint. It's not a reprint, right?
No, I don't think so. Though they do have a lot of cards in here that are interesting for goblins. They have cards that are interesting for the artifact deck. There's a lot of little pieces in here and little like hints to creating like a halfway decent deck, I think, for the format. Though it would be good to have a red deck that is not that amazing for a little while after the last season that's been, lurking around in Standard. People have been fucking Bomat couriered to death over the last little while, and now chain whirlered to death. And
you can't get away from red.
Yeah, they need to let it go for a little while.
No, man, you're telling me you're not sick of seeing Hazarets and Chandras and Chain Whirlers and Glory Bringers and just Mountain in general everywhere?
I'm not sick of Hazaret because I fucking called that card from day one, by the way. When those gods first came out, I was like, Hazaret is bonkers. People who say otherwise are wrong.
I actually wasn't really playing Standard all that much. I mean, like, I kind of was playing at the time, but I wasn't
playing for shit, but I knew that card was good from the jump.
Yeah, I definitely didn't guess that card to be any good. For me, it was I thought the Green God was going to be the best one of them all, and he's still okay. He's definitely more playable than the black, white, and blue ones. That's for damn sure. But Hazaret is a far number one compared to every other.
Bro, the blue one. People were like, "Oh, the blue one's so good. You draw cards." No, wrong.
No. Turns out Kefnet is high tier garbage.
Yeah, get out of here with that bullshit.
They put it in that second Sun Control deck, and I was like, some new Standard player is going to try and make Kefnet work, and they're going to get BTFO'd.
Yeah. They're going to get stomped right out of the Standard tournament. Have fun with that one, noob.
So mine
over here looking smart and thin. Ha, suckers.
How dare you? So my number one, earlier when we were talking about Animar, my number one is Thud. So Thud is 1 mana it's a single red for a sorcery. As an additional cost to cast a spell, sacrifice a creature. Thud deals damage equal to the sacrificed creature's power to any target. So it's a fling effect, but for half the cost at sorcery speed. Now, the reason why I'm excited for this is because in Commander, my number one deck, my most competitive deck, is an Animar combo deck that tries to fling Animar as fast as possible. So having another fling effect for the deck makes me super giddy. And not only that, we have not one, not two. Oh, whoops, sorry. We have not 1, 2, but we have 3 out of like the 6 fling effects in Magic and Standard currently. We have Fling, we're going to have Thud, and then we have Heart Piercer Mana Core. And we have stuff like Galta in the format. We have Metalwork Colossus in the format. Dude, we got some stuff going on. We can get really janky. And I'm super stoked for Thud because I fucking love Fling. It's one of my all-time favorite cards.
Is Thud an onomatopoeia?
What's an onomatopoeia? School me again.
That a thing that makes a specific sound? Like it's a description of a sound?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is.
Onomatopoeia.
But
chat,
yeah.
Come on. Chat, let me know.
Yeah, chat, let us know, the 5 people that are watching. But we've had a good turnout for this stream. I was thinking that like maybe we were going to get like 2 to 3 watching the whole time, but we peaked at like 8 or 9. So I'm pretty stoked about that. Right? And we have a decent like to dislike ratio before the inevitable dislike bomb. But yeah, this turned out to be much better than I thought it did. But before
capitalizing on your celebrity, of course.
Right. Of course. But before we get going, we're going to talk a little bit more, but I just want the chat whoever's watching right now, if any of you have any questions that you'd like to submit, go ahead and throw it in the chat and we will answer them for you live. But
I do not see anyone saying anything in group chat. That's sad for me.
Not group chat, or you're not watching the stream, are you?
Hmm.
Yeah, because if you go to my YouTube page and you click on the stream, the stream chat will pull up.
Oh, interesting. All right.
Yeah.
Is that going to make some sort of weird echo, though?
No, just pause the video. That's what I did. I paused the video and it still keeps the chat rolling. But there was a couple other cards that I did want to go over. Vivian Reed or Vivian of the Bow. I can't. Not the good one. The green Planeswalker. Do you know which one I'm talking about? I'm talking about the Planeswalker deck, Vivian of the Arc Bow. So Vivian of the Arc Bow is four.
That's in the pre.
Yeah, she's
in the set.
She's the one that's in the deck. She's the bad one. So Vivian of the Arc Bow is 4 green, and then I'm going to pull up another card called Huatley Dinosaur Knight, because they are almost the exact same fucking card. This is Wizards laziness, just like in its prime form. So Huatley Dinosaur Knight is also a Planeswalker deck card. It also costs 6 mana. However, Vivian of the Arc Bow, her +2, put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target creature. Huatley's +2, put 2 +1/+1 counters on up to 1 target dinosaur you control. Seems a bit weird, right? Okay, so -3. Target creature you control deals damage to its power to target creature you don't control. Huatley's -3. Target dinosaur you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature you don't control. So you see what's going on, right? They just put dinosaur, or they just took Huatley Dinosaur Knight and removed the dinosaur clause, and boom, you get a new Planeswalker. So Vivian's ultimate, -9. Creatures you control get +4/+4 and gain trample until end of turn. Huatley's -7. Dinosaur creatures you control get +4/+4 until end of turn.
My God.
Don't you love it? That creativity?
Oh, that's terrible.
Really gets the old noggin jogging, huh?
That's terrible.
Tell me about it.
Maybe it had to have been on purpose as like some sort of...
It had to have been a troll.
Yeah, they got the trolling, right?
Because it reminds me of Obnixilis Reignited and then Jace Unraveler of Secrets. Those two Planeswalkers were very similar. They were like almost the exact same, except the wording was a little bit different, but it was effectively the same 3 effects. It makes me wonder if they did this for the meme to see if anybody would catch on to it.
Finally figured out chat.
Oh, you did, huh?
Yeah, Thrun's an asshole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's right. We missed over the fact that Thrun doesn't die to counterspell.
Or wraths in many cases that aren't actual Wrath of God.
Thrun is my waifu.
Your waifu is a smelly old troll that's the last of his kind.
Hey, you don't talk shit on my waifu.
Oh, my mistake.
That's my baby. But I think that's a good point to end the first inaugural episode, well, episode 0 as it were, the first official episode. We will air it. We settled on Tuesday, right? I have bad memory. It was Tuesday, correct?
Yeah, that sounds fine to me.
Yeah, okay. We're going to try and make this at least weekly, if not, and we're going to try and make it like every Tuesday. But for the time being, that is Mana Dorks episode 0. Mr. McBee, do you have any final parting words for us?
I don't like you, and I never will.
Well, looks like this is also the final episode of the Mana Dorks. I'm sorry, everyone.
I look forward to having more Salt Lords talk shit about us in the near future.
Of course, that's the best.
Yeah, Salt Lords, we look forward to your comments in the comment section below. And Magic should be fun and affordable for people. That is going to be my MO for as long as I play. Fun and affordable for people to actually play the game.
Right, exactly. All of this internet drama and bullshit is just that. It's internet drama bullshit. If it's getting too much to you, or if it's like getting in your head at all, anyone that's in the chat, like especially me, because I pay attention to Twitter a lot and I also actively shit talk other people, just log off the internet and just go fucking sling some spells, because that's what we all love to do.
I'm looking forward to Unsleeved Media talking a lot of shit about us.
I don't know. He may not. Or he may not. I don't really give a fuck at this point, because I just want to kind of do what I'm doing. And what I'm doing is bullshitting about Magic the Gathering, and that seems pretty great.
I like it.
All right. Well, thank you all for watching. My name is Tasty Snackies. You all have been wonderful, and I'll catch you on the flip side.